Trevor Mills missed his son's first swim meet because a client emailed him at 6:45 on a Saturday morning, and by the time he'd finished responding, the meet was over. He was 38, living in Omaha, Nebraska, running a small marketing consulting business he'd started 4 years earlier. On paper, it was a success, $148,000 in revenue the year before, all of it his. In reality, Trevor was the business. Every client call, every strategy deck, every invoice, every fire that needed putting out at 9 p.m. ran through him personally, which meant the business couldn't function for more than about 6 hours without him checking his phone. The trigger wasn't the missed swim meet exactly. It was his wife's face when he walked in 40 minutes late, not angry, just tired in a way that felt worse than anger. She said, quietly, "You didn't start a business to have a worse schedule than your old job." Trevor didn't have a comeback for that, because she was right, and he'd known it for at least a year. He'd built something that looked like freedom from the outside, no boss, his own hours, decent income, and it had quietly turned into a version of self-employment where he worked more hours than his old corporate job for a business that would generate exactly $0 the moment he stopped showing up. That was the real problem, once Trevor let himself see it clearly. He hadn't built a business. He'd built a very demanding job that happened to have his name on the door instead of someone else's. The stakes weren't just missed swim meets, though that stung plenty. If Trevor got sick for 2 weeks, income stopped. If he wanted a real vacation, he'd spend it answering emails from a beach chair, which wasn't actually a vacation. He was 38, and at this rate, he could see himself doing exactly this, unchanged at 58, just older and more tired. His goal became something that felt almost fantastical compared to his current reality. Find a way to build income that didn't require his direct, constant personal involvement in every single transaction. Something that could run, even partially, without him being the entire engine underneath it. Trevor's first attempt was hiring his way out of the problem. If the issue was that everything ran through him, he'd just hire someone to take some of it off his plate. He brought on a junior contractor, paid her $2,800 a month, and handed her the client communication and basic reporting work. Within 6 weeks, Trevor was busier, not less busy. He was now doing his own work, plus training her, plus reviewing everything she produced before it went to clients, because the business had never been built with documented processes anyone else could actually follow. He'd hired help without first building anything hireable into. He thought adding a person would subtract hours from his week. It did the opposite, because the business itself was still entirely dependent on knowledge that lived only in Trevor's head. The discovery came while researching why the hire wasn't working, which led him down a rabbit hole into how certain businesses are actually structured to run independently of their founder versus ones that just look independent from the outside. He found that the businesses which genuinely ran without their founder tended to share a few specific traits: documented systems anyone could follow, income tied to a product or process rather than the owner's personal time, and a structure built for delegation from day one rather than bolted on after burnout set in. He started mapping his own consulting business against 5 actual models that shared these traits, treating it almost like a personal case study. The first model was licensing his own strategy framework, the exact process he used with every client, into a self-paced course other consultants could buy and follow themselves, turning his personal expertise into a product instead of a service he had to personally deliver every time. The second was a done-for-you template business, pre-built marketing plans and ad templates for small businesses in his niche, sold once, delivered automatically, no ongoing labor per sale. The third, a referral-based network, connecting small businesses with vetted freelancers, earning a percentage per match instead of doing the work himself. The fourth, a rental or equipment-based model. In his case, renting out professional camera and lighting equipment to other consultants and content creators, income generated by an asset instead of his hours. The fifth, a membership community where clients paid monthly for ongoing resources and group coaching calls run partly by trained team members, not exclusively Trevor. His first small win came from the simplest of the 5. He turned his most requested one-on-one strategy session into a recorded course module, sold it for $197, and made his first sale to a stranger, someone he'd never spoken to, while he was asleep. Trevor kept building. Over the next 4 months, he expanded the course into a proper 5-module program priced at $497 and started running it alongside his existing one-on-one consulting instead of replacing it entirely. He documented his client onboarding process into an actual checklist his contractor could run without him reviewing every step, which finally let her take real ownership instead of just executing tasks he'd have to double-check. By month 5, the course brought in $3,100 a month on autopilot, on top of his consulting income, requiring maybe 2 hours a week of maintenance and customer support. Then the second problem showed up, and it caught him off guard because he'd assumed building passive income streams meant the work would simply get easier from here. Trevor realized that even his hands-off course wasn't actually hands-off. Refund requests needed responding to, customers had questions the course didn't answer, a payment processor glitch locked out 12 buyers for 2 days, and Trevor spent an entire Saturday, the exact kind of Saturday he was trying to get back, manually fixing access for each one. The business ran almost without him, which turned out to be a very different thing than running completely without him, and the gap between those two words was doing a lot of quiet, exhausting work. This sent him into a deeper investigation of what almost without you actually meant in practice for each of the 5 models he had been studying. The honest answer was uncomfortable. Every single one of them still required a system for handling the exceptions, the refunds, the glitches, the confused customers, even if the core delivery was automated. The businesses that genuinely ran with minimal owner involvement weren't magic, they just had someone, not necessarily the owner, handling that layer of exceptions, usually a part-time support person or a clearly documented process that didn't require Trevor specifically. He hired a part-time virtual assistant for 8 hours a week at $18 an hour, specifically to handle customer supports and payment issues across the course and eventually the equipment rental side he'd started testing with 2 spare camera kits. It cost him roughly $580 a month. It also meant Saturdays stopped being a backup shift for his own business. The transformation wasn't that Trevor built 5 perfect income streams that ran with 0 involvement. It was realizing that almost without you was the honest, achievable version of the fantasy, and that the businesses that got closest to it all shared the same quiet infrastructure: documentation, a product instead of pure personal time, and one other person handling what automation couldn't. A year and a half after the swim meet he missed, Trevor made his son's entire tournament season, every meet, sitting in the stands with his phone actually in his pocket instead of his hand. His income now came from 3 sources instead of 1. Consulting, which he'd scaled back to only his favorite, highest-paying clients. The course, now earning around $4,600 a month with the support system in place, and the equipment rental side, which had grown from 2 camera kits to 6, bringing in another $1,900 a month from local creators who booked online without ever needing to speak to Trevor directly. He didn't quit consulting entirely, and he's clear that none of the 5 models he studied were pure magic. Every one of them still needed him or someone paying attention to the exceptions that automation couldn't handle alone. But the business no longer required him personally for every dollar it made, which was the entire point he'd been chasing since that Saturday morning email cost him his son's first swim meet. The framework he'd stumbled into, almost by accident, boiled down to a few honest ideas. Turn expertise into a product, not just a service, so income isn't capped by your personal hours. Document the process before hiring help, or the help just becomes another thing you personally manage. Expect exceptions, refunds, glitches, confused customers, because no business, no matter the model, runs on pure autopilot, and the businesses that get closest just have a system or a person absorbing that layer instead of the owner absorbing it at 11 p.m. Trevor's business still needs him. It just doesn't need him for everything, every day, every hour, the way it used to. That gap between needing him for everything and needing him for the important things turned out to be worth more than any specific dollar figure on a monthly statement. Maybe the reader isn't running a consulting business in Omaha. Maybe it's a different kind of self-employment entirely, one that quietly turned into a more demanding job than the one it replaced. The lesson travels the same way it did for Trevor. The goal was never a business that ran with zero involvement. That's mostly a marketing promise, not a real outcome. The real goal, the achievable one, is a business that finally lets you make the swim meet.
If you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now, because every week we break down exactly this kind of wealth-building strategy.